Hey everybody, so today we're going to talk about double distributive, and I'll explain the word FOIL and everything in just a second. But really the double distributive works off what we did last week. And last week, if you remember, we worked on the distributive property, which said that we take the number on the outside of the parentheses and we multiplied it times everything on the inside. And that's how we simplify those. So 3 times x plus 7, if you remember, 3 times x is 3x. 3 times positive 7 is a positive 21. So that was a single distributive that we did on, I think, Thursday of last week. Today we're going to talk about double distributive. And double distributive is where we just really do two sets of distributive property. Now, if you have an older sibling in high school, they may have learned this as FOIL. But we really want to talk about it as double distributive. Double distributive is actually what we're doing. FOIL is kind of the way to remember how to do it. So you may have a sibling that learned it this way, but it's the same thing. So we're going to show you what double distributive is real quick. This example on the bottom really shows us what we're going to do. So we're going to take these first two terms, x times x, and I'm just going to write down here on the bottom. I'm going to scoot up here just a little bit, sorry. So x times x, that's going to be our first one, x times x. Then we have this one, which is x times 7. Okay, that's our first one. That's just like we did on Thursday. We've done this one times both of these terms. You can see we did x times x and x times 7. Now we're going to do it to this term as well. We're going to multiply this term times everything over here. So this becomes 3 times x. And then we're also going to multiply it by that value out there, which is 3 times 7. Oh, sorry, this should be a plus, my bad. 3 times 7. Okay, so we're going to show some examples. We're going to throw a few different ones at you so you get a good idea of how they work. Right, we'll go through them kind of slow, so you can pause it if you need to, refer back to it when you're doing your homework for today. And as usual, if you have any questions, be sure to ask your teacher. So without any more delay, let's look and see what this looks like, okay? So our first question that we're going to look at is going to be this one, and it's one we just wrote down. We're going to multiply the quantity x plus 3 times the quantity of x plus 7. Okay? We need to multiply those two together. Okay? So here's what's going to happen. Like I said, we're going to multiply these two terms together. I'm going to write them out here. So we're going to multiply x times x. All right? We'll show you here in just a second what that looks like. Then we're also going to multiply x times 7. We're going to add that together. X times 7. Okay, we've done this one times both of those numbers. We've done this one times both of those numbers. Now we're going to do this one times both of those numbers. So 3 times x. 3 times x. And then this last one, which is 3 times 7. Okay, so there we've got our 4 multiplication problems we're going to do. X times x, x times 7, 3 times x right here, and then 3 times 7. Now, let's simplify each of these and see what we come up with. X times x. Remember, we said the other day that whenever you multiply a variable that's the same, you write the variable down, and then you count how many variables there are. So in this case, there are 2 x's, so x times x is x squared. Okay, we're going to add to that x times 7. X times 7, always put the real number first, becomes 7x. Okay. We're going to add to that 3 times x. Again, always make sure the actual number comes first. So this will be 3x. And then we're going to add to that 3 times 7. And 3 times 7 is 21. Okay. Now, what we didn't have to do on Thursday is look for like terms. I said two, but there weren't any. But in this case, we do have two terms that have the same variable with the same exponent. Remember, the exponent here is 1, right? So we can combine these two terms together. And you'll find out a lot of times when you're doing double distributive that you will be able to combine some terms together. So it's important that you make sure that you look for terms that you can add. Remember, we can add like terms if they have the same variable and the same exponent, which these two numbers do. So x squared, can't add that to anything here, so we just rewrite that. So it becomes x squared. 7x plus 3x, we can combine that. Remember, we combine that by adding the actual numbers together, which is 10, and rewriting just the variable. Don't get this confused with multiplication like we did up here. Here we multiplied x times x, and we got x squared. When we're combining them, when we're adding, in this case, like terms together, we add these two numbers together. 7 plus 3 is 10. We just rewrite the variable as x, right? 21 doesn't combine with anything, so we just rewrite it. And this would be our final simplification. So x plus the quantity, x plus 3 times the quantity x plus 7 simplifies to x squared plus 10x plus 21. Okay, let's take a look at another one here real quick. Here I have 2x plus 4. Okay, 2x plus 4 times x plus 6. So I have 2x plus 4 times x plus 6. And we're going to do the same thing that we did on the last question. We're going to take 2x and we're going to multiply it times both of those numbers in the other parentheses, in the other group. So we end up with 2x times x plus 2x times 6. Okay, we got those two done. Now we're going to multiply 4 times everything in the other parentheses, the other group. 4 times x is right here, right? And then we have 4 times 6. So 4 times 6. Okay, so I'm just going down here just a little bit. Sorry about that. All right, now we're going to simplify these out. 2x times x. Well, remember, this is a coefficient here of 1. And when we multiply these numbers together, we multiply coefficients. So 2 times 1 is 2. And then we multiply the variables together. X times x, if we remember from the last problem, is x squared. So 2x times x is 2x squared. We're going to add to that 2x times 6. Here we're going to multiply 2 and 6 together. So we get 12. Don't really have an x here to multiply, so we just rewrite this one. So 2x times 6 is 12x. Okay. 4 times x. From that last question, we know that that's just 4x. And then we multiply this last two numbers together, which is 4 times 6, and 4 times 6 is 24. Not done yet. Remember, I said we have to look for like terms, and I said that a lot of times when we're doing double distributive, there will be terms that combine, so you have to look and make sure. And in this case, these two middle terms, 12x and 4x combine. They have the same variable and the same exponent value. Remember, these are both 1 right here, okay? So we're going to combine those. 2x squared doesn't combine with anything, so we just rewrite it, 2x squared. 12x plus 4x, remember we add 12 and 4 together, and we get 16. And we just rewrite the variable. Okay. And then the last term we have is 24. It doesn't combine with anything, so it just gets rewritten. So our final simplification for this problem, 2x plus 4 times x plus 6, is 2x squared plus 16x plus 24. Notice so far we've had 2 questions where both of these have been positive. And we're going to look at some of these now that'll have a negative in there. So we have to pay attention. Always pay attention to your signs when you're multiplying. Okay? Let's look at this one right here. 4x plus 1. Okay, 4x plus 1 times 5x minus 4. Okay? Notice the subtraction symbol here. We need to pay attention to that when we're multiplying. Okay? So just like before, we multiply these 2 terms together. Okay? Four x times 5x. I'm going to do 4x times negative 4. Okay? And I always put my negatives in parentheses. That's just a force of habit. Okay? We got that one done. Now I've got 1 times 5x. Okay? And then my last one is 1 times negative 4. And I'm just about off the board here, aren't I? Sorry about that, guys. Okay? So we're going to simplify this out. I'm going to have to scroll my whiteboard. Sorry about that. So 4x times 5x. We multiply 4 times 5 together. And we get 20. We multiply x times x together. And remember, that's where we rewrite the variable and figure out how many x's we've got. So in this case, there are 2. So 4x times 5x is 20x squared. Here we got to be a little bit careful because we say plus, but we really want to multiply these together first. So I've got 4x times negative 4. Well, we know a positive number times a negative number is going to be negative value. So this value becomes negative. 4 times negative 4 is negative 16. Okay, there is no x here on the end. So this is negative 16x. This is where people get kind of messed up. So you want to pay attention to understand, look, I've got 4x times negative 4. That's negative 16. Okay, x times is x, right? Now let's look at this one. This is a positive value. 1 times 5x is positive, so we're going to get plus 5x. And then this one right here is another one to be careful of because we have 1, which is positive, but it's times a negative 4. So a positive times a negative is going to be negative, and 1 times 4 is 4. Okay? So that's what we've got. And this is where you need to be careful of right here. This one right here, and this one down here, because we're actually going to have some multiplied by negative values in there. So once you get that simplified, we look, and sure enough, we've got terms here that we can combine. We have a negative 16x and a positive 5x. We're going to be able to combine that. They have the same variable and the same exponent, so they're like terms. So we've got 20x squared. That doesn't combine with anything, so we're going to leave it. Okay? And then we have negative 16x plus 5x. You can use a calculator if you want to. If you do that, you end up with negative 11x. Okay? And then negative 4 doesn't combine with anything, so it stays just like it is. Okay? So your final simplification is 20x squared minus 11x minus 4. Okay? We're going to be really careful when you have to multiply them in negatives. We're going to do another one here real quick, so maybe that'll help you out. But be sure to refer back to this one if you need to. All right, we got one more we're going to do. This one is going to be 2x minus 2, okay? And that's going to be multiplied by 3x minus 3. Notice we have 2 negative symbols here, okay? So just be careful when you're doing your multiplication to make sure that we multiply correctly. We have 2x times 3x. Let's start over here this time a little bit. That's added to 2x times negative 3. Okay. That's 2x. 2x times everything over here. Now we're going to multiply everything by negative 2x. Important negative because that negative symbol is attached to the 2. So it's negative 2 negative 2 times 3x. Okay. And then we have negative 2 times negative 3. Okay. Like I said, I just put my negative values in parentheses just to make it a little easier to see. This is multiplication times a negative value. So I have to scroll again here real quick. So let's do this one first. 2 times 3 is 6. X times x is x squared. Okay. It's addition, but we're going to end up with a negative value because 2x times negative 3 is a negative number. Right? 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. X is in one term and not in the other, so we just rewrite the x. Negative 2 times 3x. Okay, excuse me. Tell you what, let me make this a little bit easier. Let me write them right underneath where they're supposed to go. Okay, so that makes that a little bit easier maybe. This is addition, but we're going to multiply negative 2 times a positive 3, so that's going to be another negative value. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. X, there's only one x, there's not one in this term, so we just rewrite the x. Okay, and then this last term down here is negative 2 times negative 3. Well, we know a negative times a negative is positive. So negative 2 times negative 3 is positive 6. There's a lot of 6's in that one in there. It's okay. So again, look right here. Like terms. We have a negative 6x minus 6x. They're like terms. They have the same variable and the same exponent value. Right? They're both exponents of 1. We're going to be able to combine these two terms together. 6x squared stays. Can't combine it with anything, so it just comes down here. Negative 6x minus 6x. You can put that into a calculator, but remember, if we're adding signs that have the same number, the sign stays the same, and we just add these values together. I wrote it wrong, but that's correct. Right? And then 6 doesn't go with anything, so it just falls down. Okay? So the final simplification of 2x minus 2 times 3x minus 3 is 6x squared minus 12x plus 6. I want to say the last few things that we've talked about last week and today really is geared towards getting you ready for algebra class next year at the high school. I know this video was kind of long, but it's important that if you can go into high school with these kind of ideas in your head, even if you can't remember exactly how to do them, it will help you a lot in high school. So if you have questions, again, make sure you email your teacher, ask them the questions you have, make sure that you understand what's going on with these, and keep up the good work.